Good morning and welcome to 100% Conversations. I'm very excited today to be talking with Formfunc Studio. We will be discussing ergonomics in the workplace. Today I'm very excited to welcome Josie King and Janice Pozzo, who are both ergonomic experts and who consult to the industry and are leaders in workspace optimization and the ergonomic furniture design space. Hi ladies.
Hi.
So it's been a hot topic. Physical distancing will become the new norm as people slowly start returning to work or to the workplace. And at some points in the future, people will need to turn their focus from survival mode to adaptation. As ergonomists, you consult regularly to business on creating a more comfortable workspace environment. So I'm very, very interested to ask you guys some questions. And my first question being, what should a home space look like in terms of its products?
Yeah, thank you, Claire. So what we need to look at when we are looking at products in our home office is our three main factors. And the first one that we need to really incorporate is your monitor screens and your laptop placement. So the problem came was when this whole pandemic came along, was that people thought this work from home was going to be quite short and it wasn't going to be a long-term factor. So people thought using a laptop was going to be temporary. Kind of you can go and sit on a bed and work on your laptop or work in the dining room table. But what we're noticing now is that this home work is going to be a long-term factor. So we need to start noticing that we need to find ways to be ergonomically correct. So what we notice is that the laptop, even though it's a very easy product and it's easy to move around, it's technically not ergonomical. So we need to actually break the two screens and the keyboard and mouse to allow for your screen to be at eye level and then allow for your keyboard and mouse to be at a neutral posture, for your shoulders and your elbows to be relaxed. Wow. So what people tend to do is they lift their laptop up, but then you're tapping with your shoulders up and your elbows up. But if you keep it low down, then we have that hunched over position. So that's why we need to break those two. So those are your two main factors you need to look into. So bringing your screen to eye level, keyboard and mouse at neutral position. Then your final thing that we need to look at is the chair. And again, we're trying to move away from sitting on a bed or sitting on a dining room table or chair. And you need to invest in an ergonomic chair that can give you the correct lumbar support for your arms when you're typing, and give you the right support for your upper legs so that we're not sitting in an awkward position. We want to always be as neutral as possible.
That's true.
So to conclude it, what I could say is that when you want to set up your home office in an ergonomical way, keep on remembering that there are three main factors to incorporate. And this is your placement of your monitor screen, placement of your keyboard and mouse, and having the right ergonomic chair.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. And what about the environment though? I mean, what should the environment look like?
So people seem to only think about the products in their office. So I'll be focusing on the three main elements in the environment for a home office. And these being lighting, air quality and noise. So when we compare the lighting to your office compared to your home office, we see that the home office has actually better light because there's more natural light. And we find that we normally position our desk close to windows, so we have natural light coming in and a view to the outside.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we also noticed that home offices, the overhead light or the ceiling light actually won't be turned on during the day. So we will be noticing lots of task lights or lamps being placed on the desk. It's also been recorded that there's better air quality in an office compared to a home office, and that's quite surprising. But it's because there are a number of air filters or air conditioners, as well as daily or weekly cleaning routines. So how can we actually improve the air quality in the home office? So we'll see an increase in air conditioners being installed in home offices. We'll see those portable air filters or air diffusers, those beautiful air diffusers being placed on your desk to actually clean the air around you. And we also know that cleaning your work surfaces will improve the air quality, because there's millions of microscopic bacteria that's all over your keyboard, mouse, laptop, and screen. So we'll see things like the UV sanitizing wands. So this is a wand that you actually shine over your keyboard or any surface, but you'll have to do this for about 10 to 60 seconds and quite a number of times during the day to actually kill this bacteria. And then also another interesting topic or feature would be the UVC task lighting. So when we refer to UVC, it's a wavelength that's actually known to kill bacteria in water and air that can be absorbed by our DNA. And then we also see that disinfectant wipes will be a common feature on our home office desks. And then the home office can also be a lot noisier and have more disturbances than comparing to a normal office, especially if you're living with other people or if you have children. So the most important feature that you would need to invest in is earphones. So this will obviously cancel out any noise around you, but also help not disturb other people when you're on a call. And then a few other features to reducing noise or to absorb noise. You could add carpets or a mat in your home office, or blinds and curtains to your windows. But it's also an ideal situation, if possible, would be to transform a room in your home into a home office instead of trying to work in your living room.
Or your bedroom.
Or your bedroom.
So is it linked to, would you say that lighting is linked to, increased productivity? Does it increase productivity?
Yeah, so there's been many studies that actually focus on lighting and how lighting affects your performance, alertness, and productivity. So when I'm talking about lighting, I am focusing more on the natural light. So the sunlight that's coming in, and it's made up of blue light rays, and then you get your very dark red going into black, dark light rays, and that's seen at night. So during the day at around 10 a.m. we are most alert. So this is when we should schedule meetings to discuss important topics such as new products or working techniques. And then around 2:30 in the afternoon, you'll see it's your best coordination time. So you need to focus on scheduling tasks such as delivery routes, if you have a driver, and if you have an online store, or preparing tasks for the next day. You also see at around 5 p.m. we have the greatest cardiovascular efficiency and muscular strength. And this is the time when we see thousands of people at the gym. And then a few hours later, we then enter into the darker tones or the darker light. And this is when our melatonin secretion starts. So this is the hormone that actually causes us to become sleepy. So at night, we need to try to reduce the use of cell phones, iPads, laptops, and the time that we watch television, as these elements actually emit blue light, which obviously will reduce our melatonin level, so we won't be as sleepy. And this will in turn impact our performance and productivity for the next day.
That's very interesting, very, very interesting. And sure, such intricate details. And in terms of the role of the ergonomist, how do you see that changing for someone like yourself? Is it changing? How do you see it?
So it's always a hard debate, but again, as you say, none of us expected to be in this situation. So it was kind of a wake-up call of what we need to do. But the one benefit of it being in this generation and this time is that we do have this very high level and standard of technology. So, I mean, as we're seeing right now, we are so easily accessed to these video calls, such as our Zoom meetings, Skype, team calls, that we can use these as the way of the future as ergonomists. So we as ergonomists can still do ergonomic assessments for individuals and companies, even if we are at home working. So having that interaction, being able to see what the person is doing, how they're sitting, and us talking to them one-on-one, we can still do the social distancing even if we aren't actually seeing them in person, which is a good benefit. And what we're all going to start seeing, and I mean, Jan and I have both been watching multiple virtual talks and presentations on ergonomics. That is something that can be very easily done, again, with the technology that we have. And what we're seeing again is people now are wanting to buy these ergonomic products, but we need to remember that, you know, ergonomics, the education is key. So again, even though people can't use us ergonomists to come into their home office, we need to be able to still meet them through video calls and show them how to sit correctly and use the products correctly. Because again, it's not just about buying the product. We need to know why we are buying them. And what we want to do is that we want to give them the right product knowledge and be able to share that knowledge through the technology that we have today.
Well, I'm certainly finding it very interesting. And tell me about sit-stand desks. I mean, those are the thing of the future. So tell me about them. Is it something that, you know, do we need to sit for, 2 hours and then stand for 8 hours, or how does it work? You know, how long should you be standing and sitting for?
So this is a very common question that we get asked, and it's actually a very important one to actually ask. We often have heard the phrase, or we know of the phrase, sitting is the new smoking. So this has caused quite a bit of chaos. People have run out and purchased for standing desks. And then after a short period of using their standing desks, they find they become very uncomfortable. And this is because it's actually more taxing to stand, as your body uses more energy, as your muscles are working harder to maintain this upright posture. So many studies have also shown that sitting's problematic and standing too long is problematic. So we need to encourage individuals to actually listen to their body. And if your body's telling you you're in discomfort, it's actually telling you to change your posture. So we need to change our posture throughout the day. And then according to Dr. Alan Hedge, he came up with the concept called the 3 S's. So it refers to sitting, standing, and stretching. So after numerous studies, he found that for every 30 minutes, he suggested that you sit for 20 minutes. But please make sure that when you are sitting, you're in the most neutral posture. So reclined, arms relaxed at your side, and screen at eye level. Then after that 30 minutes of sitting, you would then shift to 8 minutes of standing. And then as well, you would stand in the most neutral posture. So feet firmly on the ground and weight distributed equally on each foot. And your screen at eye level still and relaxed. Then after the 8 minutes of standing, he suggested 2 minutes of stretching. So this would be gentle stretches of the neck, arms, and back. So if you do this for an 8-hour period, it equates to 16 cycles, and this is the most beneficial way to reduce discomfort level. So this might also seem very disruptive when you've got so much work to get through. So we need to consider products that are easy and quick and has minimum effort to adjust from a sitting to a standing posture. Because if this transition requires a bit of time or too much effort, then we end up just using the easiest option, which is probably sitting at your desk for the whole day.
Wow. Well, I've definitely taken some tips, and I'm definitely going to do more stretching. Are there different setups for different professions, or is it the same for every type of profession in terms of that?
Well, yeah, I mean, the first thing I can say that no matter what your job is, if you are doing long hours of work, sitting on a bed or a dining room table and a dining room chair, that needs to stop. So we need to, number one, sort out that problem before anything. But I can understand why this question needs to be asked, because every day we're bombarded with different information and about products and what is ergonomic and what isn't. And it might sort out the problems, but it doesn't do it. It's not technically true. So even if you buy all these fancy things, you might actually not need them. So there's no need to invest in these thousands of products if your job profession doesn't need it. So what I would always say is that you need to first understand how you work and what you need for your office. So for example, if you're using multiple screens, you probably want to look for a chair that has a headrest so that when you're looking at all of them, you can actually relax your head and everything. But if you are someone who is working on one screen, and then maybe there's not a need to buy an ergonomic chair with a headrest and all these different adjustments because you're not actually in super need of it. So that's where I say, again, you need to kind of think about what you need. And again, I'm going to put in that the whole state is that, once again, education is key. So educating yourselves for what you do and don't need is what you will then use to be able to go and buy the right ergonomic products.
Oh, and I mean, there's so much out there. I mean, how do I know that this my chair is truly ergonomic?
So yeah, thousands of ergonomic products, and one actually needs to be very careful because most products nowadays are labeled as ergonomically designed because it's such an overused word. And so there are guidelines and standards that you could refer to in order to buy the correct ergonomic product or to make sure that the product actually is ergonomic. So for a chair, for example, there's 5 main features. So seat height, which is a very common feature as almost all chairs can adjust in height. You've also got adjustable armrests. So this is also a very common feature. So your armrests, most armrests can adjust in height. Then you've got your recline of your backrest. So it's also a very common feature, but some chairs offer back locking mechanisms or weight sensitive recline mechanisms. So it's quite important not to lock your chair in one position, but rather set the recline tension to your body weight. So you'll be able to recline in your chair quite freely. And then the support for your lumbar region. So make sure that the backrest actually gives you adequate lumbar support. And then one that's not a common feature at all would be your seat depth. So not many chairs have this function, but it's actually very important if you're feeling pressure behind your knees. It's literally telling you your seat's too big for you, so then you can adjust it to make it smaller. So other products such as laptop stands and monitor arms, these should be able to adjust or to fit the 95th percentile. So when I talk about 95th percentile, it's 95% of the population. So the tallest person can use it as well as the shortest person can use it. So it needs to be able to adjust and also make sure it adjusts for your body dimensions. So no one should also be using a laptop stand without a separate keyboard and mouse. This is the worst thing that Josie and I can see. It's because when you place your laptop on the stand and you type, you put your wrist in a very awkward posture, and this could eventually lead to carpal tunnel syndrome. So it's very important to remember that you need to maintain a neutral posture while you are working.
Well, that's very, very interesting. I must say, I've definitely learned a lot of tips just from this short session. So thank you for that. But I've got one more question for you. Looking into the future, are there going to be many changes in terms of the office layout? What's it going to look like? I mean, or will just be the same old? I'm interested to know.
Yeah, I mean, that is it's a loaded question. And I think you can go online and research multiple things that people are saying. But what Janice and I both have kind of seen and what people are presenting about and talking about is definitely the new way of the flexi work. So allowing people to work from home and then not have to come into the office that often. Because again, we're trying to bring in that social distancing. And flexi work is so much, can be used because again of technology. You can have meetings with your boss and your colleagues all the time. It's just bringing in that the camaraderie of not being in the office with that flexi work. But that's something I think offices need to start incorporating and need to start noticing that they need to worry about the employees even when they are at home. Another thing that we're starting to see again is bring in that is going to happen is the social distancing when we are in the office. So the office definitely moved to this kind of open plan, and that is, as we said, is going to start changing back to the old ways where people have their own little cubicles and own little spaces, and which is a pity because the office plan is actually a very nice way, and people have that again with camaraderie and lifestyle. But there's a way you can do it instead of people sitting in front of each other, so facing each other. Maybe they'll do ways of people sitting their back towards each other. So we still have that open space layout, but we're not kind of coughing and breathing on each other. So we're doing that social distancing in that sense. The other thing that people are starting to say might be happening is shift work. So I know that companies are only allowing 30% of people being in the office. So if they're doing shift work, having 30% from 8 until whatever time, and then the next 30% coming at a different time. But that brings in a lot of other ergonomical factors that we need to think about is, sleep ratios and when do people work better. I mean, as Jan said right at the top, people work a lot better in the morning than in the afternoon because of our sleep cycle. Yes, but often we have our lunchtime slum and we don't really want to be having meetings. So, corporations and companies need to be aware of that. And then the final thing that we're also going to notice is that products are going to be changing to be able to clean easier. So the fabrics and the acoustics that are going to be out there are going to be products that people are going to be able to use, to be able to quickly wash off all the time and keep with the sanitation and products and stuff like that. So there are a lot of new ideas that are coming out there, and I definitely think they're going to have to be put in place if this COVID keeps on going. But I don't think people need to be scared and change things drastically. And again, I think you need to speak to your employees and speak to your colleagues about what are the right things and wrong things to do, because we don't have to go and reinvent the wheel and change everything in the office, but there might be a few little things. And us as ergonomists, what we need to say as well is working at home, if you are, don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to call in ergonomists and call people in, because your business, I'm hoping, is there to help you, and you don't need to suffer in silence. And, contact your HR, contact your health and safety people if you are struggling with something. And as we say, there are ergonomists like Jan and I that are out there that are here and we're wanting to help you. So don't be afraid to find out and get our details and give us a call.
That's so awesome, guys. Thank you so much for educating us. And I think it's very, very relevant for the times that are ahead. And it's been awesome to chat to you and, to educate the industry. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting us through. It's been great.
We look forward to the next one, and we'll catch up soon.
Perfect. Right.
Thanks, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.